Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about, go through this Lightcasters tutorial. It's about 13 pages. We'll get to page 174 and be done, so just so you know. My voice is a little weird because I was sick the past few days. I'm on an antibiotic. Isn't that great? Anyways, I'm feeling better, but I might be weird coughing and stuff like that through the thing. So, anyways, let's go through it and get it done. It'd be great. It'd be fun. I've already got the project going from last time. Just to show you again what it does. It's where you, it's just, what's the word for it? I even forgot what it's called. Specular lighting. Just the steel frame of the texture using a texture, a lighting map, which is really cool. Finding out about that, we'll get more back into that when we do a review of all the chapters. Okay, all the lighting we've used so far came from a single source from a single point in space. It gives good results, but in the real world we have several types of light that each act differently. A light that casts light upon objects is called a light caster. In this tutorial, we'll discuss several different types of light casters. Learning to simulate different light sources is yet another tool in your toolbox to further enrich your environments. We'll first discuss a directional light, then a point light, which is an extension of what we had before. And lastly, we'll discuss spotlights. Okay, so those three. In the next tutorial, we'll combine several of these different light types into one scene. Directional light. When a light source is far away, the light rays coming from the light source are close to parallel to each other. It looks like all the light rays are coming from the same direction regardless of where the object and or the viewer is. When a light source is modeled to be infinitely far away, it is called a directional light, since all its light rays have the same direction. It is independent of the location of the light source. A fine example of a directional light source is the sun, as we know it. The sun is not infinitely far away, but it is so far away that we can perceive it as being infinitely far away in the lighting calculations. All the light rays from the sun are then modeled as parallel light rays, as we can see in the following image. Okay. Because all the light rays are parallel, it does not matter how each object relates to the light source's position, since the light direction remains the same for each object in the scene. Because the light's direction vector stays the same, the lighting calculations will be similar for each object in the scene. We can model such a directional light by defining a light direction vector instead of a position vector. The shader calculations remain mostly the same, except this time we directly use the light's direction vector instead of calculating the light dir vector with the light's position vector. Okay. Note that we first negate the light direction vector. The lighting calculations we used so far expect the light direction to be a direction from the fragment towards the light source, but people generally prefer to specify a directional light as a global direction pointing from the light source. Therefore, we have to negate the global light direction vector to switch its direction. It's now a direction vector pointing towards the light source. Also, be sure to normalize the vector since it is unwise to assume the input vector to be a unit vector. The resulting light dir vector is then used as before in the diffuse and specular computations. To clearly demonstrate that a directional light has the same effect on all multiple objects, we revisit the container party scene from the end of the coordinate systems tutorial. In case you missed the party, we first defined 10 different container positions and generated a different model matrix per container where each model matrix contained the appropriate local to world transforms. Also, don't forget to actually specify the direction of the light source. Note that we define the direction as a direction from the light source. You can quickly see the light's direction is pointing downward. We've been passing the light's position and direction vectors as vector 3's for a while now, but some people tend to prefer to keep all the vectors defined as vector 4. When defining position vectors as a vector 4, it is important to set the W component to 1, so translation and projections are properly applied. However, when defining a direction vector as a vector 4, we don't want translations to have an effect, since they just represent directions, nothing more. So then we define the W component to be 0. Direction vectors are then represented like vector 4. Ba, 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 ba. This can also function as an easy check for light types. If you could check if the W component is equal to 1 to see that we now have a light's position vector, and if W is 0, we have a light's direction vector. So adjust the calculations based on that. Fun fact, this is actually how the old OpenGL fixed functionality determined if a light source was a directional light or a positional light source, and adjusted its lighting based on that. If you now compile the application and fly through the scene, it looks like there's a sun-like light source casting light on all the objects. Can you see that the diffuse and specular components all react as if there was a light source somewhere in the sky? It looks something like this. Oh. So, what are we doing? Okay, the shader calculations. Alright, so we go to the shader. 2D displays. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, light, position, all that. So what are we talking about in here? So structure, light. So instead of position, we have a direction. Okay. That's fine. Go down to the main. And light direction, where's that at? Light dir equals normalized light dot position. No, it's actually just going to be normalized minus light dot direction. Okay, so that should be good, and they said that's all we need to change. So mostly remains the same, except this time we directly use the light's direction vector instead of calculating the light dir vector with the light's position. Okay. That's just a little bit of the cough that I've had, so it could get a little bit worse. I'll just be warning you. Okay, there's the fragment shader, so we're all set there. This actually is dealing with the program, so okay. So how are we doing that then? So it says, okay, to clearly demonstrate a directional light, the same vector on we revisit the container party seen from the end of the coordinate systems tutorial. In case you missed the party, we first defined 10 different container positions and generated a different model matrix per container, where each model matrix contained the appropriate local to world transforms. So it's right here. Just going to grab that. And this is where all the matrix model fun stuff gets calculated. And that's in the beginning. Alright, I might be... I don't think we're doing that in this one in particular. See, because it's right there. What does this do? Angle rotation. Cube positions. We better look at the source code for this one. Can you see that? Find the full source application. There. Okay. Vertex, fragment shader. Okay, the vertex shader we don't change, right? Fragment shader, we already changed it for direction. And then that, so we're good. The shaders are good. Not this one. The heck are we doing here? Vertices we still use. Cube positions. I knew there was more to this than just, okay, so we have to put this in there. This is going to be a little bit of so let's just put it right here. Oh, and I've got a fun little headache going again. Alright, anyways, my misery put aside here. First set the containers VAO. Okay, so do we want to do all this? Load textures. Yes. Okay, so this will be the VBO and VAO. And the fun stuff. Yeah. So that's from here. Come on, you can go up. I know you can. There you go. So paste that into there. Save it. Okay. Now load the textures. And it looks like they're both already loaded and loading. So let's just look at this. Diffuse specular emission map. Diffuse specular, yeah, there was no emission. But what's the emission map? Interesting. I mean, what is it? Let's just add it in. Or should we just copy everything? Yeah, might as well just copy everything. Load textures all the way down to set texture units. Load textures all the way down to set texture units. Boom. Okay, lighting shader use. Yeah, that looks the same. Okay, good. So then we do that, do this. Light direction, that might be different. Yeah, this is different. Bum, 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 bum. So we'll just change this one to dir, and then change this to direc direction, and then change that to dir. Okay. Everything else should be good, I think. Light dir. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's the the light position, which is set where. So lost at this moment. It's been too long since I worked on this. So there it is. 1.2, 1 and 2. Oh, little different. Little different. Tweedledum-dum. Tweedledum-dum. Put those in there? Does that work? Okay, that works. It's slightly different, you know, whatever. Okay. Position, camera, material. Okay, good. And then right here, camera transformations, bind the diffuse texture. And we have that. We have that. We just gotta go down, 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 down. Okay, so. Da 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 da. Ba-da-bum-bum. So there's light direction, there's the camera transformations, there's the textures, diffuse and specular. Okay, good. Now draw the containers. Okay, here's where stuff is different. So from draw the container. Hold on. Draw 10 containers. So that gets okay, so yeah. That makes sense now. Okay. So we'll just go like that. Container VAO, do I actually use that? Here's all this. So what are we doing with all this? Draw the container. Hold on, I'm confused now. Oh, and that all gets commented out. So he's just commenting it out, and then I'm actually replacing everything. So I'm the problem. No. Okay, so where's the so all that gets taken out, and then it's just like right in here. I can deal with that. Let's just put it in. That's fine. Okay. Swap buffers, all that. Let's give it a try. It might not work. I don't know. I hope I get everything. GL4 map model redefinition. Where? Oh. Wait, what did I do wrong? Draw the container VAO. GLM map model. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Oh, that should have been commented out. All of this? Yes, or actually just deleted. And that too. Draw the containers. Oh wow, are you serious? This worked? It actually worked? That's wild. Oh, and they're all using specular. Okay, so wow. And that's cool. Okay, that's too cool. How far along are we? 16 minutes in. Okay, so let's keep going. That's really cool. That worked. So that's funky. Point lights. Okay, directional lights are great for global lights that illuminate the entire scene. But aside from a directional light, we also want several point lights scattered throughout the scene. Actually, I'm not feeling that good tonight. I'm going to cut this into shorter segments, so I'm going to end this segment. We'll come back to point lights. I'm on page 164. Okay, thank you for tuning in.